One of the best tools to defend our networks is a firewall. A firewall is truly filtering, the process of filtering traffic based on different rules that the company may have. Like a company may have a policy that employees are not going to browse websites that are not related to the business of the company, let's say the business of education, and then they block this kind of traffic going to the outside of the network. They may also have a policy not to allow anyone that doesn't have anything to do with the business of education send an email to the employees of the company, and so on and so forth. And this is completely up to the choice of the specific organization. So a firewall is a network device that isolates an organization's internal network from the internet, and it can be implemented using hardware or software or a combination of these two. And a firewall may also perform different duties such as monitoring, logging, or even flagging, and even quality of service, which means load balancing. And at the same time, they also perform this access control for packets entering or leaving a network. This is where, again, it really helps to understand computer networks, especially the IP layer, the network layer, where we have internet protocol addresses, and of course the transport layer where the ports reside. And this is a static table that a firewall may have, as its database for judging what to filter and what it should not filter. So the first rule, for example, says that anything that comes from any address with destination to 111, you should accept, because this may be an open server, an open DNS server, or something along those lines. The rules are very specific. As you can see, they're specified by IP, source destination, and port source destination, protocols, flags, and what you should do: accept, deny, or redirect. And there can be wildcards for the ports or the IP addresses or parts of the IP addresses. And the rules are executed in a top-down manner. So if we don't find a rule until the one before last in the specific table that we see over here, then we will deny everything. So if there's no rule for the traffic that we'll see, and it does not abide by the top 3 rules in this specific example, then we will deny it. And the rules usually use IP addresses and not host names, and that is something to think about. It's much more efficient and fast, but of course there are issues with just using IP addresses, because IP addresses are just lists and they may change owners. So you have seen now in this slide an access control list in a way. So remember that we're talking about access control lists, an access control list in the form of a firewall. And there are different types of firewalls. This is a stateless firewall, which means that it's looking at packet by packet and judging based on these rules that you can see in front of you. But there could be a stateful firewall that says, I'm going to be looking at 50 packets and look at their inter-arrival rates, and based on the previous states, I will judge that if the traffic is too fast or if the traffic is from a specific pattern of IP addresses, then I'm going to block this. So stateless are judging based on the moment, based on one specific packet. Stateful may use previous state in order to make the decisions for filtering. So what I showed you in the previous slide is the older style firewall, the firewall where we're using what we call IP tables to make our decisions for filtering. And you may install one of these firewalls at home. I have one of those in my lab, and it's called pfSense. It's free. You can download it and you can experiment with it. But what we're using nowadays, what we're using even at the College of Charleston and the newer businesses, what they're using is what we call the next generation firewalls. And specifically the dominant companies in these are Palo Alto Networks and Fortinet. So these two companies are the biggest companies that are making these next generation firewalls. And of course, there's more. So these firewalls are looking at packet by packet. They're stateful, they're intelligent, they can adjust what they do. They don't just have a blacklist of IP addresses like the previous generation firewalls. And they're looking at applications, they're looking at threats, they may be updated or smart and, making intelligent decisions, maybe even based on machine learning. So imagine how fast and efficient they are and multi-threaded they are doing all of these things in real time while we are browsing the internet through the College of Charleston campus, for example, where we actually have Palo Alto firewalls. So they're very much application based. They have allow and deny type of rules, and they have these zones that you can see in this picture that they make the decisions based on. And they may even decrypt the traffic, these firewalls, and inspect what we do. Of course, this is a violation of privacy. However, especially in an enterprise network, there's no expectation of privacy when browsing. So you do not expect that your traffic is private when you are on the College of Charleston campus or at your job. They can really make the life of companies easy by their policy-based forwarding. And again, as I've told you, the enterprises, the companies may decide based on the rules, and they may even have specific types of file transfer that they allow, and any combination or specific types of applications that they allow, or any combinations of this. So the Palo Alto firewall, for example, could deny downloading torrent files and things like that. So these are the firewalls that are very much worth looking into, and bear in mind that these are the ones that are used nowadays in most modern enterprises. The demilitarized zone fits pretty well with the firewall concept, although it is not the same thing. It is a perimeter network. I think we have discussed this before a little bit when we were starting to discuss about computer network security. And it can be a physical or a logical network that contains external facing devices. So there, we add an additional layer of security. As you can see, it fits very well with the firewall topic because there's a firewall in front of the demilitarized zone machines and then behind the demilitarized zones machines. And it's the front face of an organization to the internet. So the firewall of the demilitarized zone, in front of the demilitarized zone, may be much more relaxed and have much more relaxed filtering than the firewall behind the demilitarized zone that defends and protects the important assets of a network. So this is a way that a lot of companies organize their networks. They may have multiple demilitarized zones, and definitely it really depends on the scale of the company, on how many zones or firewalls they may have.